Our top story on World DNA this morning, the White House has accused Russia of attempting to interfere in the upcoming US presidential election.
Well, and it has announced wide-ranging actions against two employees of the Russian-backed media network RT, which was formerly known as Russia Today. Now, the network runs online and TV platforms around the world with an aim to advance Kremlin's agenda.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announced charges against the employees, accusing them of money laundering and violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
In Miami. This morning, we unsealed an indictment in the Southern District of New York of Konstantin Kalashnikov and Elena Afanasieva, two Russian-based employees of RT, a Russian state-controlled media outlet. They are charged with conspiring to commit money laundering and to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
He further outlined that the tactics used by the employees include using state media like RT to advance anti-US messages and amplify on polarizing political topics such as immigration, crime rate in US or the war in Gaza.
Garland accused the two RT employees of implementing a $10 million scheme to hire a Tennessee-based company to publish and disseminate pro-Russian content. The company then contracted with US-based social media influencers to share the content on their platforms.
We allege that as part of that effort, RT and its employees, including the defendants, implemented a nearly $10 million scheme to fund and direct a Tennessee-based company to publish and disseminate content deemed favorable to the Russian government.
He also imposed sanctions on top editors of the state-funded news outlet. Those sanctioned by the Treasury Department include RT Editor-in-Chief Margarita Simonian and her deputy. In other action, US officials have announced the seizure of 32 internet domains that were used by the Kremlin to spread Russian propaganda and weaken global support for Ukraine, and have further said that Washington will implement a new policy to restrict visa issuance to certain individuals who act on behalf of the Kremlin-supported media organizations.
We are announcing a new policy to restrict visa issuance to certain individuals who, acting on behalf of Kremlin-supported media organizations, use those organizations as cover for covert activities and are responsible for or complicit in these malign efforts.
According to US officials, Russian President Vladimir Putin's inner circle had directed Russian public relations companies to promote disinformation and state-sponsored narratives to influence the presidential polls. The White House has also said that the Russian president was aware of these actions. All right, for more on this, we now have with us political analyst Spencer Crishley, who is also the former communications advisor for Obama campaigns, joining us live from California. So thank you so much for joining us on World DNA.
Pleasure to be here.
So now, given the upcoming elections and of course what we're also seeing on the war front, the war between Russia and Ukraine, do you think that these would have a larger implication, these sanctions that have been brought forth?
Yes, I think that the announcement by the Justice Department is very significant, and it's clear that they want to warn Americans. They're not just announcing the prosecutions in each individual case here. They want to warn Americans of the extensiveness of the Russian influence campaign, as well as influence campaigns that appear to originate from Iran and China. And for relatively small amounts of money, as we saw in the 2016 election, as well as the 2020 election, Russia and other countries hostile to American democracy can have outsized impact, especially by exploiting emotionally intense issues that will provoke Americans into fighting with each other, which I think is one of the chief objectives, is to promote division and to undermine confidence in democracy.
Mr. Kreisly, now, as per US officials, it was Vladimir Putin's inner circle that directed Russian public relations companies to promote disinformation to influence US presidential polls. Now, there is a lot of talk about how these acts were being done to influence the polls. Do you foresee, or do you think Vladimir Putin was perhaps influencing to have a possible Trump re-election? Because we know it's a Trump versus Harris match now. Do you feel this was in favor of Trump, that these implications were taking place?
Oh, yes, I think clearly so. And the internal documents that the U.S. Justice Department has managed to get hold of, the Russian internal documents, seem to indicate that pretty clearly. And it's not surprising because President Trump has expressed his open admiration, bordering really on adoration for Vladimir Putin on multiple occasions, including praising what he called the brilliance of Putin's original invasion of Ukraine. Trump has also shown himself to be supremely easy to manipulate. All you need to do is flatter him, and he seems to be willing to do whatever you like, especially if you're an authoritarian like Putin. So I'm sure that Trump is by far Putin's favorite candidate because he can essentially, if Trump wins, use him as a virtual puppet.
All right, Mr. Kreisly, we'll let you go for now. Thank you so much for joining us on World DNA. Always a pleasure speaking with you and getting all your insights on matters.